Well, just in the last few hours, a federal judge now unsealing the most comprehensive narrative to date of the 2020 election conspiracy case against Donald Trump when he was the president. So it outlines what special counsel Jack Smith describes as the former president's, quote, private criminal conduct, end quote. The 165-page document from Smith's office argues that Trump's actions to overturn the election were in his private capacity as a candidate rather than in his official capacity as a president. So let's bring in Chief Legal Analyst Clive Rose to walk us through exactly what this 165-page document means.
If we're going to go for a walk, let's start with Jack Smith's own words. First paragraph. The defendant asserts that he is immune from prosecution for his criminal schemes to overturn the 2020 presidential election because he claims it entailed official conduct. Not so. Although the defendant was the incumbent president during the charged conspiracy, his scheme was fundamentally a private one. Why is that important? In this 165-page motion, privates listed 18 times. Supreme Court back in July said that a president is immune for their conduct within office, but that they are not, or they gave kind of a murky definition of what private conduct is. So now Jack Smith and everyone else that's attempting to prosecute the former president is out there trying to figure out how can we lay the foundation for this being private conduct, not public conduct. So this is his attempt, this 165-page attempt, and he lays out a number of crystal clear things as to why the president was not acting in his official capacity.
Okay, so what happens with this document next? Where do we go from here? So now that this has been unsealed, just so that we can understand, you said it's a motion?
Yeah. So this was required. The Supreme Court sent this back to the lower court to give definition, to make sure that they can put us in the place to ensure that moving forward, how could this presidential conduct be not characterized as presidential conduct, but more so private conduct? And that's what Jack Smith was required to do. Judge Chuckin wanted to make sure he had an opportunity to do that, and that's what was going forward.
An important part of this document that I saw is his former Vice President Mike Pence was also mentioned. So explain to us kind of what that means.
Yeah, Jack Smith's been doing some leisurely reading, so he picked up Mike Pence's book, and in his book, we're in the era of your own words being used against you, your social media posts, your text messages, or what you've said or what someone else has told you. So if Trump can make the allegations that I had no idea that I lost the election, that everyone around me was telling me that I won. Well, Mike Pence in his book is saying that he told the president on numerous occasions that you didn't win, that there's no information that supported that you won, and any efforts to try to overturn this election is something that you should not do. And so he cited his book a number of times, which is unusual because, again, Mike Pence isn't named as a co-conspirator. You have all these other people that are named across the country and all these other lawsuits. He did mention that. He mentioned Georgia. He mentioned Arizona. He mentioned all the other lawsuits, but he didn't mention Pence as a co-conspirator. He mentioned him as a person that was in giving the former president information that he knew or should have known at the time was true.
All right, you said time. That's my next question right there, the timing of all this. I mean, we have the general election next month, so I just want to get your thoughts as to why unseal this document now in October.
Well, most of these documents that will go in the federal court system, specifically when you have a person that's of his nature, will be in a sealed capacity. Why? Because you want to protect the witnesses. You want to protect anyone that has anything to do with the case. But at some point, you're going to have to unseal them so that the public can understand how this case is going forward. We talk about transparency. Well, if you continue to have this sealed for a number of months after you've already filed it, the public will try to figure out what's happening. Unsealing it was the right thing to do. But the timing of the general election, I just think that's coincidental. Because remember, none of these cases will get to see any type of courtroom before the general election. And even after that process, this case will still go to the Court of Appeals and ultimately may go back in front of the Supreme Court because they punted before and never gave a definition of what private actions are. All this will come before them to make a real determination of what that means.
Khalif, thanks for explaining it to us.